Hello, my name is Sarah Morgan and I am the creator and founder of Mastering the Art of Manifesting.
Hello, gorgeous manifestors.
Say hello from Byron Bay.
All the way from the Maldives.
Sarah is an absolutely positive force to be reckoned with.
Sarah is amazing. She has literally changed my life. I thank the universe every day that I met her.
And they're manifesting money, they're manifesting time, happiness, abundance, all the things that they want.
The universe works in ways that we can't get our heads around.
It's about massively maximising the laws of the universe. You, my darling, are so limitless.
Welcome to the beginning of everything that you want.
Hello, gorgeous manifestors. Happy Tuesday. How are you all? In case you don't know me, my name is Sarah Morgan and I am the creator and founder of Mastering the Art of Manifesting, and it is my insatiable passion to help millions globally to be able to intentionally and deliberately utilize law of attraction to create limitless lives for themselves. And I just thought I'd come on today because it's a subject that's coming up a lot at the moment in my life and in my clients' lives around contrast. So I wanted to come on and just talk about it. And also I thought I would do a live in my back garden. So it is the 12th of February. I'm wearing a lot of layers, but the sun is shining, and so I am out here celebrating the little sun trap that is my garden and just feeling the rays of the sun on my face, and just very happy to be able to come live from my garden again for the first time in 2019. So contrast. So a lot of you will have heard me talk about contrast before. There's also a lot of you that are new to the Mastering the Art of Manifesting tribe that are now following my work, and so contrast may be something that's quite new to you. So first of all, what is contrast? So contrast is any type of negative emotion that can range from just being a bit bored right down to kind of fear and depression. So it's anything that feels basically off, that doesn't feel aligned and flowy and like a good feeling. And contrast is something that the ego finds quite difficult, or can find quite difficult, because often when we're in get that back up. Often when we are in contrast, we're either thinking about the past or we're worrying about the future, and so the ego tends to kind of build momentum with all of these negative thoughts. And contrast can feel uncomfortable, especially when you are really starting to implement all the tools that I teach that help to elevate your vibration and shortcut you in to that aligned space where manifestations start to come more easily to you. So when you start feeling better and then you suddenly have some contrast, it can feel more extreme in the beginning. And that's something I'm taking my February Fire and Flows through at the minute. It's something I've had several clients messaging me this morning who are sort of experiencing contrast, and I myself have been experiencing contrast for the last few weeks as well. And this morning had actually really quite extreme contrast. I was feeling quite tearful. And I was messaging my sister, my gorgeous sister, Belinda, who is in the Facebook group as Belbo Baggins. And she was just kind of saying, Sarah, I really think you need to talk about the contrast more. And she's right, because I talk about it to my clients a lot. Every client that works with me knows that contrast is an essential part of us being in human form out here on the leading edge of universal expansion. But I don't talk about it as often, sort of just to my general audiences, so you guys in the Facebook group or on the Facebook page. So I just wanted to come on and talk about it today, because what we need to get our heads around is the fact that contrast is totally essential to our expansion. If we didn't have any contrast, we wouldn't launch new desires. So the contrast always ends up with us creating new desires. And obviously then when you create a new desire, your energy shifts, you create a new energy and you start manifesting new stuff towards you. But we have to have the contrast for that. And so I sort of won't go into the depth that I went into in February Fire and Flow this morning, because it was like about a 30-minute session. But to give you some top line things to think about, when you are in contrast, always try and remember that contrast is going to be like a launch pad into expansion for you in some way or another. So when I'm in contrast, I will always sort of tune in to the deep knowing and truth that the contrast is actually going to serve me, and actually I'm going to expand because of it in a way that I wouldn't if the contrast wasn't there. So that's the first thing. Welcome in the contrast and know that however it's feeling to you, you know, if it is tough, just kind of also remember the bigger the contrast, the bigger the expansion. That's something I've said since day one. So hold on to that if you're in contrast. Secondly, don't push through. Allow yourself to just feel into something that brings you a little bit of relief. So when you're in contrast, you're not going to get from feeling lower vibration to higher vibration just like that. You literally have to just in each moment lean into something that brings you a little bit of relief, and in doing that the contrast shifts much more quickly. And I will say that having used these tools that I coach, I tend to in most cases move, well in all cases even, move through contrast much faster than I would do if I didn't have the tools. Even if the contrast is really tough, I can still bounce back faster than I would have 2 years ago without using the tools. So know that with these tools and consistently implementing them, you can move through contrast faster and bounce back quicker. But just lean into something that brings you a bit of relief. So today I am in the garden having the sun on my face. I'm just going to do things that nurture and feed my soul as much of the day as I can, just kind of follow everything that feels good to me or it feels better to me in each moment. So just another thing to look at for you. And another thing that I really wanted to talk about as well is just to give you some stats on contrast, because when we're working with law of attraction and you become very aware of your vibration, and you're always kind of wanting to lean into a vibration that feels good, because that's when you know you're in kind of positive manifesting flow. But just to give you some statistics, and I talk about these in my book and I talk about these on every course that I do, but often people forget them. So just to remind you, if you are feeling, you know, good and aligned 51% of the time and lower vibration 49% of the time, you're still going to be manifesting more of what you want. Okay, if you feel good 60% of the time and low vibrational 40% of the time, you're still going to be manifesting the good stuff at a really nice pace. And if you feel good 75% of the time and low vibrational 25% of the time, so that's still 1 day out of 4, that's still a quarter of your time, if you're having that, you are going to be manifesting really, really fast. Okay, and these are statistics that I heard directly from Abraham on an Abraham Hits cruise. So I really want you to feel into that and know therefore that contrast is an absolute essential part of our physical experience. So even if you're feeling contrasty a quarter of the time, you're going to be manifesting really, really fast. And I talk a lot about how even during contrast, I still manifest stuff. I still manifest the stuff that I need and want, okay? Yes, when I'm higher vibration, it may come in faster and more easily, but still, if I'm in contrast, I still manifest. And so I really want you to just kind of understand that and take the pressure off of yourselves. You know, and the whole point of being physical is that there's contrast. So Abraham always talks about the fact that we chose to come down into this physical environment because we knew the contrast would excite us and we would be able to create and expand from it. Obviously, when you're in human form, it's easy to forget that sometimes and literally be like, really? Did I actually really opt in for this? But we actually did. And so, and it's so, you know, it does take practice. It's by no means easy. I am not perfect. But when you are in contrast, rather than kind of push through it and struggle through it and try and fight against it, kind of just allow yourself to nurture, lean into something that brings you a bit of relief, and in that energy you're kind of allowing it to move through you faster, if that makes sense. And I know it can be easier said than done. I am not perfect, but I just kind of really wanted to talk about, you know, the importance of contrast and how the only way we would have no contrast is to be in non-physical. But even then, on the Abraham Hicks cruise I was in the autumn, they were saying there is still contrast in non-physical, but it's totally different to how it is down here. Like, because down here in human form we often make a massive drama around contrast, and up there it happens, but it's completely different. I guess I imagine more subtle, I have no idea. But in our physical form, it's so easy to let the ego go crazy when we're going through contrast. And so my top tips are: nurture, always nurture. Some of you may have seen the post I put up yesterday about nurturing yesterday afternoon. Always lean into something that brings you a bit of relief. Don't try and get back onto the high flying disc like that, because it's going to feel sort of out of reach. Just lean into something that feels a little bit better. Loads of you know that napping is a big one. If you're experiencing massive contrast, napping is amazing, because when you sleep you slow all the mental chatter down. You kind of allow your body just to rest and surrender, and there's no resistance. So obviously when you're having contrast, you're creating resistance. So napping is brilliant if you're having extreme contrast, because it just stops the resistance. And kind of celebrate it if you can. Sort of know that the bigger the contrast, the bigger the expansion. And having experienced so much since I've been working with Law of Attraction consistently, which will be 2 years in May, like, there has just been massive everything, massive expansion, massive like manifestations, massive like high vibrations, massive contrast. Like, it's all just been this blend of massiveness, and I wouldn't change it. I really honestly wouldn't. Even though the contrast can feel tough, I know that every time I go through it and move through it, there's massive expansion on the other side. And you know, we're here at the leading edge. You know, we're among the 7% globally that actually understand Law of Attraction and deliberately utilize it. And so we are expanding at a rate way faster than people who are not working with Law of Attraction, because when you're working with it and you're tuned in, tapped in and turned on, you're more powerful than millions. So by default, being here, moving with Law of Attraction, means that we're just going to be expanding and, you know, playing with this energy at a much faster rate than the majority. And actually, if you can get to a point where you welcome that and embrace it for everything it brings, including all the massive amazing high vibe stuff and including the contrast, then you're just going to keep excelling really quickly. So basically, it's about learning not to be afraid of the contrast as well, which is something I'm always working on, because there's always universal love behind it. There's always love behind it. It's to help you grow and expand and flourish. So wherever you are right now, just to say, I'm sending you loads of love. If you are in contrast, celebrate it. Know it means that there's massive expansion coming. Be kind and nurturing on yourself. Just move with what feels good in each moment or brings you a bit of relief, and know you will move through it faster. And also understand it is totally an essential part of the manifestation process. If you want to, the universe just gave me that, if you want to be a really powerful creator and manifester, it is part of the process. So let's start embracing it, is what the universe is saying, which is making me giggle because I was in tears this morning. But it is so true. Like, embrace it. And I'm here doing this in real time with you. This is what I always want you to know. I'm no different to you. Yes, I've been working with the tools consistently for a couple of years, but I'm no different to you. And I never want you to feel like I've got it all completely sussed, because anyone that says that they have also isn't being real. Because when you understand how Law of Attraction works and how working with universal energies to expand works, you understand that contrast is just a part of it. And so you also understand as well that it's never all done, because it can never all be done. We're always becoming, we're always expanding. So that is just always going to be a state of we're moving and evolving and expanding, and stuff will keep coming up in all different ways, and it's kind of about embracing the whole process basically. So I hope that helps you guys and it clears some of the misunderstanding around contrast up. Know that I love you all so much. I'm probably going to come on next week and do a live coffee chat, so I'll put the date out next week. I've also got my second blog post coming out. I'll be releasing news about my third book in case any of you would like to be in it, because there's an opportunity for you to be in it. And also I am working on the Ministry of Money, which is a brand new money offering that I am launching in March. So there's lots going on behind the scenes, but for now I'm going to nurture, just do what feels scrummy. And yeah, if you want to receive the next newsletter with the blog and book stuff on, then do make sure you're signed up to the newsletter, which you can access on my homepage, my website, which is www.masteringtheartofmanifesting.com. Scroll down a little bit, you can sign up for my newsletter and you'll get all of those notifications as well, my darlings. So sending you loads of love, have a scrummy day, and I will speak to you all very, very soon. Mwah.